How did you do in the lab today?
It was an adventure.
How did you do in the lab today?
I survived
A
it.
trip.
It's a trip.
Yes, I'm trying to talk to a woman who's not of this persuasion. And if that's a
sounded
trip,
interesting.
When you say trying to talk to a woman of this persuasion,
that's not of this persuasion.
that's not, in terms of trying to, and for what reason?
Well, I just that, she's coming from fear and I'm coming from love, and she thinks, what a dumb shit you are, Patrick, because,
And what is the appeal of her?
I'm not telling you in front of all these people.
I don't know how to tell you, but we pretty much figured at the point you talked about what she was coming from, we kind of figured what the appeal was, but I was just gonna see if you was gonna fess up right at the beginning of the class. But okay, we have no idea why he's dealing with her anyway. All right. That's right. He's trying to be very loving, and it's a part of his mission and his ministry. And that's why he's dealing with her. I know. Okay. So take a breath. I accept the love of God. 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 I accept, inhale, the love of God. Exhale. I accept the love of God. 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 Tonight we're going to be on a section of the Way of Mastery that's called Accepting the Resurrection for Yourself. On page 184 in the Way of Transformation, page 184, chapter 15. Chapter 15, Love or Fear, the choice is yours. Page 184, the section called Accepting the Resurrection for Yourself. You need not believe it, you need not accept it, you need not welcome it. Some of it you're going to find hard to believe, some of it's going to be quite startling. You're not asked to judge it at all, but you know we're probably going to analyze and judge it. It says it's the use of the idea that will give the ideas that give their meaning to you. It's the use of the ideas that will show you that they're true. I'm going to cover some of the material, throw it open for some questions or discussion, then cover some more of the material. And the goal is to be given another way to look at things, to be giving us another way to look at things. And obviously this part of the book was channeled around Easter, since it's talking about the resurrection for yourself. It says, upon this Easter or wherever you read this, whenever you read this, recognize that you have the power to celebrate and accept your resurrection as the living Christ. Now, what is the living Christ? Your true, holy, spiritual self. Your true self, your true loving self as you were extended by love. The Christ is the one self we all share. And it says you can accept your resurrection as the living Christ by seeing beyond the boundaries of death, the boundaries of loss, the boundaries of fear, the boundaries of hurt, the boundaries of anger, the boundaries of projection, which means the perceptions upon which projection rests. You are the one who has been reborn. When you choose to remember only loving thoughts, that's when you will be reborn. Do you know that whenever you're not happy, it never has anything to do with anything other than what you're thinking at the moment you're unhappy? you're thinking something that makes you unhappy is why you feel unhappy. Thinking something that makes you feel unhappy is why you feel unhappy. If you feel depressed, you feel, like you said, angry, hurt, it's because you're thinking about it. I hate to be that, just that. You're thinking about it. That's why. Whatever you're unhappy about, you're just thinking about the thing that's making you unhappy. So it really isn't the past. It really isn't the thing that's making you unhappy. It's what you're thinking about right now. And then you always have a choice about what you want to think about. So you always have a choice about how you feel, because you always have a choice about what you choose to think about. So therefore, you always have a choice about how you feel. So if you want to be reborn, you just choose to remember only loving thoughts. And sometimes another word you could use for loving are only thoughts of appreciation. You know, what is it that I appreciate? So what then is the veil that makes this seem so freaking difficult? Why does it seem so difficult? He says it can only be this. You ready? This is why it seems difficult. Because you accepted into your mind at some level that the world you see is real. How ridiculous. That you've actually accepted into your mind that at some level the world you see is real, and that the world you're looking at holds a power to dictate to you whether you should feel peace or disturbance, love or judgment. So this is always an illusion. Now, what is the illusion? The illusion is that you have the power to dictate to me how I'm going to feel, that the world has the power to dictate to me how I'm going to feel, that I have to feel a certain way because of what I'm seeing on the TV, reading in the paper, what other people are saying to me, that somehow or another that has the power to dictate how I feel about it. That's what it means. That's one of the things that it means when it says the world is an illusion. It's an illusion because what you are calling your world is just the thoughts you're projecting on it. And you're the one that's determining how you feel, but the illusion is that somehow or another I can make you, it's almost like believing that I can make you feel good, or that I can make you happy, or I can make you laugh, or I can inspire you. That's a lie. I don't do anything. You decide to be inspired by me, and then you say, oh, I'm inspired by what you said. You decide to have joy. Then you go, oh, Earl said something that was really cool. Everything that's happening, you're only feeling the feelings that you're giving yourself. You're only ever feeling the feelings that you're giving yourself. So no matter what you're doing to anybody, they're not giving you the feeling that you're having, including that lady you're talking about. Okay, now.
I'm gonna get an inflatable on the way home.
Well, that's, yeah.
Well, that would be about the most cooperative woman you'd be.
That's
Yeah.
You like me?
Awesome.
Say yes right across the forehead.
That's right. That's right. See, that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Right there. See, he has the power to give himself to tremendous joy with an inflatable woman.
Yeah.
See, that just goes to show you right there. Okay. And there's somebody for everybody. I saw a TV show one night that was all about the strange things that people get turned on by. And there's one guy that was totally into balloons. You know, balloons was the thing that just completely blew his mind. He got off on balloons, and he was really feeling like self-conscious. Because, you know, you go out on a date and he'll whip a balloon out on the chick. So, now, but then he went to the place that you always find your holy relationships, the internet. Because I don't care what you're into, there's somebody on the internet that's not only into it, but they'll take it to a level that even you can't go. That's the thing I like about that. You know, you might think you all inhibited and you free, uninhibited and you free. You go to the internet and you go, oh no, I'm not nearly where I thought I was in my uninhibited nature. But guess what? It was a convention of people who were totally turned on by balloons. And so he went to New York and he went to the convention and he met the love of his life, and they're still together even to today.
All right.
You see what I'm saying? So whatever you're about, however you are, the point of this story is you're never alone in anything, and it's crap to think that you have to ever be alone in anything.
Yay.
There's always somebody just just like you out there that has similar interests, that would like to do what you would like to do, unless you're afraid to have what you want.
Big
Yeah, if you're afraid to have what you want, then you'll be a person that's always claiming it's not available. Or it might be a situation where just you're in the preparation for it.
That's right.
Yeah, you're in the preparation for it. So it says now, my question for you is, would you be willing to surrender your illusions in order to remember the peace of God? Would you be willing to remember your false ideas and what you believe in order to have the peace of love? Would you be willing to surrender your false ideas, illusions, in order to remember the peace of God? And peace means total fulfillment. It doesn't mean meditating on your navel somewhere. It means total fulfillment. So another way of putting it is, would you be willing to surrender your illusions in order to remember the total fulfillment of God? God is love. So would you be willing to surrender your false ideas in order to remember the total fulfillment of love?
Yes.
Okay. All right. The question is whether or not you will accept the atonement for yourself. That means, will you accept the resurrection for yourself? That means, will you accept this truth for yourself and then be determined to walk this earth as someone who has arisen? And someone who has arisen is someone who is using this truth and living this truth and looking at it this way for themselves as they go about their day in the world. So you're passing by people who have resurrected and who are very enlightened all day long, everywhere you go, and you don't even know it. So what does that mean? What does that mean? Well, it means that you've chosen to awaken from uselessness. You're just useless. You've just been told, that's why you're depressed, because you know you're useless. Isn't that positive? Okay. It says you have chosen to awaken from the uselessness of separation, the uselessness of victimhood, and the uselessness of weakness. So weakness has no use, and it's also saying to us that being a victim has no use, and seeing yourself as separate from everybody has no use. So you have chosen to accept the empowerment. Where does empowerment come from? Empowerment comes from becoming responsible. Being responsible for what? This dimension of creation. So power comes from being responsible for this dimension of creation. You're going to accept that you are powerful and not weak. You're going to accept that you are strong. You're going to accept that you are joined. You're going to accept who you really are. And you're going to live as if who you really are. So it says that's the empowerment of deciding to walk the earth as the risen Christ. So what does it mean to walk the earth as the risen Christ? It means that you're willing to accept the empowerment of becoming responsible for creation. The risen Christ is somebody who's willing to accept the empowerment of becoming responsible for this dimension of creation. So you've chosen to take the message of a historical event like the crucifixion of Jesus that did occur in time, for if it didn't, somebody has managed to fool me. That's what he says. He said, and to assimilate it as a symbol of your own life. In other words, what's the message of Jesus in the crucifixion and the resurrection? It says you have been crucified by your own thoughts. So you're crucifying yourself all the time when you're feeling unhappy all the time about one thing or another all the time. That's your crucifixion. And you have brought your persecutors to you by your own thoughts. So everybody who seems to be persecuting you, they're coming to you by your own thoughts. Your thoughts are like Uber. They come, you know, you're bringing your persecutors to you. You have nailed you to the cross 1,000,000 times since you've been born. You've crucified yourself through your thinking 1,000,000 times. And it says, so that, why? So that you could be confronted with the opportunity to look out upon a lovely world by seeing it only through the eyes of love. So every time you crucify yourself, every time you feel unhappy, every time you feel angry, what you've really done is you've confronted yourself. But what you confronted yourself with was another opportunity to choose for sanity, choose for love, or choose to practice the truth. So it's almost like we are just creating situations to give us the opportunity to train ourselves how to always choose for peace all the time. So how can you learn how to always choose for peace unless you give yourself situations that look like they're offering you the choice whether you're going to choose peace or not. So that's how you strengthen the muscle of choosing peace all the time. You give yourself a situation that you make the choice for peace instead of anger and victimhood. So everything that happens in our lives all day long is just another opportunity. I like that, being confronted with an opportunity instead of looking at it like you're being confronted by a person or a situation. You would go, my boss confronted me with an opportunity today. My child confronted me with an opportunity today. My lover confronted me with an opportunity today. Do I keep dealing with her or do I get an inflatable doll?
Here's the question.
And this time of year, it'd be pretty easy for you to get one cheap.
Yeah. We'll get 2 for 1.
That's right. And at Walgreens.
And we'll go inflatable doll swapping.
Talk to me after class. That's right.
Lawyer said no comment.
Oh, no comment. Okay, all right, all right. I can't believe that teacher was talking about inflatable dolls in the way of master's. All right, so here's an exercise. Think then for a moment and imagine that you are nailed upon a cross. That's a really great visualization, isn't it? Okay, imagine that you are nailed upon a cross, that you are stuck between the vertical axis of eternity and the horizontal axis of time and the body. So the horizontal axis is time in the body, the vertical axis is eternity. Imagine that you lift your head upon which you have placed the crown of thorns, which is the crucifixion thoughts, all the attack thoughts you have about yourself. That's the crown of thorns. Then it says, what does that represent? It represents the field of the mind as your mind is operating and expressing through the body and through the brain. You are either operating from the level of just thinking that you are in time in the body, or you are working for a vertical axis, which is the fastest one, which is the one which you are tuning into yourself in terms of eternity. See, you can either go up a mountain by going around the mountain, or you could have a helicopter lift you up and go to the top. So when you're studying this kind of stuff, you are getting off the horizontal line of time, and you're saving yourself a lot of time by going straight to the top, by having someone lift you up. And who's lifting you up is your own higher self. Mm-hmm. So you can be lifted up, or you can spend all your time just taking the long way. Okay? So it then says to us, now, what are the thorns? These thorns represent fearful thoughts. What are your fearful thoughts? Your judgmental thoughts. What are your judgmental thoughts? Your limited thoughts that press and poke upon your own energy field, and you get a cosmic headache. You have a big old cosmic headache and draw blood. Now that is, it releases the life force from you, the power from you, and it drains down your auric field. Each and every one of you have an auric field, which is a field of energy that surrounds your body. Your body is actually inside your auric field, because we are light beings. We're not bodies, we're light. We're actually really light. Actually, to be without a body is your natural state. Your natural, you spend more time out of the body than you spend in the body. So, but we've forgotten that we are more than our bodies, so now we think we are what we think we are. But the way we know we must not be what we think we are is because we don't experience enough constant joy to be telling the truth about ourselves. Because if you were really doing what was natural to you, you would be joyful. So all of the unhappiness and fear that we see in the world is coming from forgetting who we really are. So you dissipate yourself just like a balloon with a slow leak that dissipates the power that makes it a balloon. So most people are being drained. They're being, all their energy is being sucked out. And if you're around someone who's just fearful and a victim, and when they leave you, they feel energized, and all you want to do is go to bed. You know what I'm saying? Some people, you get through being with them, you just want to go to bed, and they're like, oh, I feel so much better. I'm so glad that you allowed me to be a vampire and come here and suck your life force for a while. Okay. Right. You know what I'm saying? Some people, that's what they feel like. They feel, you will say it. You literally say, that person feels like a drain on me. They are. They are a drain on you. if you allow yourself to give your power away by judging them, by joining them in the limited thinking. Because before you know it, you'll be saying, you so right about that? And, yeah, it really is bad like that. And, oh yeah, the world is that way. So what you're doing is you're joining and creating more of it for you and them. So empathy does not mean to join in the suffering. Empathy does not mean to join in the suffering. Joining in the suffering is what you must refuse to do. So you're not being empathetic because you go, oh, you really are a pitiful little thing. Okay, that's not helping them. That's not aiding them. A crown of thorns symbolizes the effect of the thoughts you insist upon when you rest in judgment, anger, hurt, or fear. That is when you choose to deny love. That's interesting. So I got two choices. I can love or I can choose to deny love. How can I tell when I'm choosing to deny love? Well, I feel judgment, anger, hurt, and fear. So judgment, anger, hurt, and fear is the feeling that you have when you're denying the truth and you're denying love. It's not like I deny love and then I feel hurt and anger and fear. We're being told you're feeling hurt and anger and fear or love. So you either denying the truth or you experiencing the truth. You either denying love or you are choosing love. So you can tell which one you're choosing at any given time by how you feel. So how you feel right now is telling you what you're choosing right now. And if you're telling yourself that if someone spoke or acted differently, if some external situation or circumstance were changed, then you would be happy, then you're using the ego plan. And I bet you anything, that's what you're telling yourself, and that's what I'm telling myself if we don't feel joyful right now. It's something or someone you wish were different, and then you say to yourself, I would feel better. That's funny. I was thinking about Oprah Winfrey is worth $3 billion or more. And she bought some stock the other day for 10% of Weight Watchers. And she paid $43 million to invest in it. And then within 24 hours, the stock increased in value 100% because she took, so she made $70 million in one day. In one day, she got the money back and $70 million more. In one day, just on the strength of she decided. So, but losing weight means more to her than her $1 billion. She's always dealt with her weight. If anybody that's familiar with Oprah, they'll know so that's what I'm saying. The Course says there are no small upsets. They're all equally disturbing to your peace of mind. You could have $3 billion, but then cellulite will blow your day. Don't you just hate me when that happens, ain't it? Y'all know, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's like, and that's what we must remember, that her happiness, so having $3 billion is neutral. It's like the Course says, it's all neutral, and then you give it the meaning that it has for you. Then my mind goes, well, if I had $70 million, I sure would be different. I'd be happy. You know, I think how many inflatable dolls I could buy.
I'll come over and visit.
That's all right. I'm losing students and gaining students. I know what's happening right now. As people watch this video, that's what they go, oh no, oh yeah. I always have some of the most fun students that come to my classes, and anybody I can go around, anywhere, wherever I travel. You know, yeah. Because we're down to earth. You know, I mean, I've been going to Course classes for 35 years. I've never heard anybody talk about the inflatable doll. And then everybody in class go, yeah. I didn't feel a whole lot of judgment, you know, just a little bit, but not a whole lot of judgment, you know. So imagine now that you lift your head and you realize the blood is dripping from my brow by my own hand. The crown of thorns was placed upon me by those who came to serve me. And then the teacher will always tell you a crucifixion story. Every teacher will tell you a story of students appearing to turn against them at some time in their career and attack them, who really in the beginning seemed like they just loved them to the max. everybody, every teacher can tell you that, because you're a projection screen for everybody's ego when you put yourself in that kind of position, you know. And that's what happened with Jesus. You know, he helped so many people, but then in the end, they crucified him, and that they had a choice of getting him off the cross and two robbers. They chose the robbers. Anybody to know the story, you know. So that's why I tell people, you know, don't put me on a pedestal. You just get better aim. It's all right. You know, I have the same issues you have. Only difference may be I'll go to the tools faster.
Yes.
That's probably the only difference. I'm not arguing with it anymore. Oh, I don't know. Is that right? Should I do that? I don't know. What is it saying? You know, it's like, what? No. Hey, look here. Let miracles replace our grievances now. You know, I'm never upset for the reason that I don't know my own best interest in this situation. I don't know what anything is for. You know what I'm saying? I'm going straight to that. I just got one problem, and it's my separation from God, and it's already been solved. You know, I'm going straight to the truth. I don't even go through all that analyzation about what it is in the world. Once I get over the thought that the problem was in the world, which was what was making me upset in the first place. So I know I did blame and victimize myself by the way I felt in the first place. But I'm certainly not going to stay there. Once I recognize that's what I'm doing. Because the Course says that when you talk to people who are not quite conscious yet, unless you tell them who needs to change and what needs to change outside themselves, they think you haven't given them an answer to their issue. Okay. So they don't even hear what you're talking about. They're looking for you to say your husband needs to change, your child needs to change, your job needs to change. They're looking for you to say who needs to change. Then they say they've gotten an answer. They don't want to hear, oh, you're pressing the thorn against your own brow. Well, use that voice. Especially if you use that of course. That's right. So the Course goes, and I love it. He says the crown of thorns was placed upon me by those who came to serve me, to shock me into the remembrance that I have allowed myself. Check it out. They came to me to shock me into the remembrance that I have allowed myself at times to have thoughts of negativity, limitation, and fear. No wonder I had such a headache. You look to the left, you look to the right, you see your wrist bound to the horizontal by a nail, a hard piece of iron, cold and thoughtless. How many times have you bound yourself to the things of time through your own thoughtlessness, your own coldness?
A lot.
You turn to look down at your feet. They are crossed over, resting gently upon a small. He just kind of giving us the whole thing about what it was like from his point of view, right? So you look down at your feet. They're crossed over, resting gently upon a small wooden slab with a nail through your feet, as though the world were saying, "Don't you dare try to raise above our level of consciousness. Don't you dare try to raise above our level of consciousness. How dare you mirror to us the truth of our being by always being so sickeningly loving."
Yeah.
Actually, sometimes in the world, it looks like because you're being loving, you become the one that people feel safe to attack.
Yes.
Because well, Earl's not going to do nothing if I go off on him. He missed the course. I can just go off on Earl and he just going to look at it and, you know. Try.
Say that to the camera.
That's right, try. I'm still working on myself. I'm going to be teaching this class. That's your proof right there. Don't mess with me. I'm teaching the class. Do you understand the implications of that? I need it the most.
That's right. That's what it means.
That's what it means. You know, most truth students have a mace, affirmation, and a 45. You know what I'm talking about? That's the way truth students roll. Same one saying I love you, they got a rifle on the wall. You know what I'm saying? So we're not there yet. The world will seek to nail you down to earth. How does the world nail you down to earth? By insisting that you think like the world does. So being nailed to the cross is insisting that you think the way fearful people think. Have you noticed that the people who don't have relationships and don't know how to have one and haven't had one in 50 years will be the first one to give you their opinion of yours?
Yes.
Or the person that's so poor they can't pay attention will be telling you what to do with your money? Think about how people who are miserable trying to tell you what you should be doing to be happy. That's what it's saying. The world insists that you think with it, and all that means is, to simplify it, is that the world insists that you blame somebody. Right? So for remember always that the world, not the earth, but the world of human experience is the attempt to create that which is the opposite of reality. So humans are always trying to create what's the opposite of the truth. I'm a human. I'm a being that always does everything just the opposite of what will work. It's called being a human being. I'm going to always do what doesn't work. I'm human. So like many who would gather together to take a drug and think that their insanity is the same as the bliss and ecstasy of union with God. Well.
Oh, wow.
Well.
Well, who's going to do that?
So, okay, have to think about so I was insane most of my 30s. I didn't know that. I thought it was the same as the bliss and ecstasy of union with God. Yet, they would not dare drive an automobile. They would not dare drive an automobile, cannot think a coherent thought, and don't even remember where they are. But they think that's the same as bliss and ecstasy and union with God. Now you turn your eyes from the roar and din of the world. You see the soldiers, which means symbolically your persecutors. Those are the soldiers. Totally unconscious, a lot of them running around. Totally conformed to the authority of the world. So who are the people who are totally unconscious? Those would be the people who are totally conformed to the authority of the world. And if you are conformed to the authority of the world, you have donned your armor, your headpieces, your footwear, and you carry the spears of a God made as a substitute for love. So the soldiers are unconscious people who use fear and attack as the way to deal with life. So we're surrounded by soldiers of unconsciousness. Wow, wow. So you look upon the fearful crowd, you see some friends who still see your soul. Is that Patrick with the doll? Okay. Then you see some friends who still see your soul, which is your Christ consciousness, your Christ mindedness, and continue to love you. So no matter what, there will be those who do recognize you and continue to love you. Like when I went through my crucifixion experience, there were people who refused to attack me and join in with the persecution. And I saw who my friends were.
That's right.
Immediately. So, and realized it was me persecuting myself, me feeling guilty, me attacking myself because I didn't think I deserved such a good time. That's what happened. It got too good, too easy. You know what I'm saying? It's like the part of me that thought I didn't deserve that says, well, you need a crown of thorns.
Yeah.
You know. And so this is what you need to hear. Yet even the ones who love you, they are veiled by their belief that death and loss are possible. So even people who love you can be totally unconscious too of the truth. He says, so you are really, if you tell the truth about it, completely alone in that sense. You're completely alone. Even the ones who don't like you are unconscious, and most of the people who like you are just as unconscious. So you're pretty much alone. No one, I repeat, no one is going to save you. 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 No one is coming to rescue you. It's between you and your God. It's between you and your God. Nobody's going to rescue you. It's between you and your God. It is a decision that you must make. What kind of decision? To be determined to choose only what is real. To start choosing only what is real. How do you do that? You choose what's true regardless of what the eyes seem to show you. And no matter how it looks, I'm going to say, I'm not the victim of the world I see. Even if it looked like I'm the biggest victim in the world. I don't care what happens to me, I always say, I don't know how I created that, but I created that. I don't know why I created that, but I created that. Oh boy, I don't know how I created that, but I created that. Wow, it really doesn't feel good, but I created that. You see what I'm saying? It's like in no time do I say to myself, no matter how much it looks like I'm a victim, I try not to ever call myself one no matter what's happening. Because that's the decision that must be made for you to be saved.
The only thing they'll say.
It's the only thing that'll save you. So then it goes on to say, that also means regardless of what every man around you seems to believe. That's why when I'm around people who believe something very different from me, which is just a part of my mind to believe something different from me, I don't say anything. Because then we just get engaged in a conversation that's reinforcing both of our positions and making us more. Because if it's not a matter of life or death, I don't care what you believe. You can think whatever you want to think. Why is it important for me to try to make you believe what I believe? I used to do that kind of stuff. It's like, well, it doesn't matter. I can believe what I believe. It doesn't matter whether anybody else agrees with me or not at all. Because I'm going to what? Experience the result of my beliefs. I'm not going to experience the result of your beliefs. I'm going to experience the result of my beliefs. So the only thing that matters is what I'm telling myself, not what you believe. And don't forget now, even if you are dealing with someone who seems to be opposing you, you are confronted with an opportunity. That's the only thing that's happening. You just all day long at work, you're being confronted with opportunities to choose the truth. And when you get in the habit of choosing the truth all the time, to the point that that's where you go every time you get upset, I promise you, the situations that upset you will start to fade away. And you find out one day nothing is opposing you. No one's saying anything insulting to you. No one's giving you a hard time, and you still want to kill yourself. And that's one of the biggest shocks of all. Because at that point, you realize it never was anyone else ever doing anything to you ever. It was always your own thoughts that were crucifying you, but you just had an opportunity to seem to blame somebody else for it. Now the Course says when you reach that point where you recognize it's you hate, that's what most people, some people just want to commit suicide and they don't see any point going on. But then they don't realize they're really at the point that they can make a real choice, because now they have alternatives they can really choose between, because now they see it wasn't anybody else doing it to them, and they see it wasn't God doing it to them. So now you could actually turn to your brothers and sisters for help, and you could turn to your Creator for help, because now you see it never was your Creator that was doing you in the first place. It was just you. So that really is the time you could really be free, because now you really see a real alternative. So it says, so what is the decision if you want to stop being crucified? He says it's a decision that you must make to what? To be determined to choose only what is real, regardless of what the eyes seem to show you, and what every mind around you seems to believe, even those who profess that they believe in what you're saying. So, for they look upon the body, and an old belief takes hold. The body is what's real. The only thing that's, when I'm around people and they say the only thing that's real is what they can see. And if you say anything that they can't see, they say, then you're around the most blind person you can ever be around, is a person who only believes in the reality of something that they know and something that they see. That's the blindest person you could ever talk to. There are too many scientific facts that show that's crazy. That there are things that are beyond the frequency that our physical senses can see. Dogs can hear stuff that we can't hear, smell things that we can't smell. Electricity is invisible. So that whole idea that something doesn't exist just because I don't see it is stupid. It's dumb. It's ignorant. So then we read a book that says, oh, guess what? I always think about this. We read books that if we were to even consider how the book says that it came, we know we must be dealing with something beyond the body. Think about it. We're coming to get together on Tuesday night to listen to a book that supposedly was channeled, which means something out, someone, some entity, some intelligence, some being outside of the body, use this person to communicate information to those of us that's inside the body. And that's the same thing about the Course. And in both cases, it claims to be the Christ consciousness or Jesus or Jeshua. Which would make sense to me that if something is eternal, it would still have to exist now. And if it still exists now, why can't it still communicate now? That to me, that just makes common sense to me. If you're eternal, you should be now.
Right.
If we really are eternal in our true nature, and we are sitting up here saying we are spiritual beings inhabiting a physical body, why would it be so way out to think that there wouldn't be spiritual beings that don't? Hello? So I'm telling you, this is not your natural state. This is an adventure. And somehow or another, we went around. I'm serious. This is supposed to be an adventure, a grand adventure that we're having. And somehow or another, we lost sight of our purpose. We're here to demonstrate love. We're here to be conduits. We're here to be living examples of how cool a life can be when you got some sense.
Yeah.
That's what we're supposed. And so we're trying to learn how to do that because we're so crazy.
Yeah, we are.
We call it being on the spiritual path. Yeah, it's like you wake up and you realize, oh my God, I am totally friggin' insane in a world full of people totally friggin' insane. When you say that, you now move towards sanity. Because now you're the fish that got outside the ocean long enough to look back and see the water.
Yes.
But if you're under the water is invisible to the fish. So you got above the water, and you went, whoa, this is crazy as hell. Then you flop back down in it again. And then try to buy a car. Forgetting that you could just say, let there be car, and it would be. Because you're an infinite creator. You can have anything you want anytime you want it. So then it says, the body is what's real. After all, look at this. It's the body that's nailed to the cross. This is limitation. This proves that the world's thinking is true. And so you must lift your eyes, where? From the world. Which world? The world that you think you see, and do what? Choose to accept reality. I'm going to look up at you, and I'm going to choose to accept what I'm hearing, no matter what any of you believe, no matter what my relatives believe, no matter what my friends believe, no matter what anybody else believes, I'm going to choose to accept this. So it says, Father or Creator, like Jesus said, into thy hands I commend my spirit. Decide for me, Spirit. There is nothing more, this is nothing more than the choice for sanity. So how can you tell the sane person from the insane person? The sane person is giving their life to the higher power. The insane person is still trying to make it up as they go along. In the midst of all these conditions, you choose for God. So, the choice for what is eternal in the field of what's temporary. So a conscious being is choosing for what lasts, even when it's in an experience where it looks like things are temporary. So it looks like everything is in here is temporary. I'm going to choose for what is eternal, the truth. The truth will always be true, even though all the things we see change. Right? I will always be giving everything I see all the meaning it has for me. You know, I will always be upset, never for the reason I think. I'm always entitled to miracles. You see what I'm saying? What's real never changes, and what's unreal doesn't exist. That's the whole message of what we're studying. Only love is real. Only God is real, and everything else is your own misperception, your own story. Period. Right? So it says the choice for what is unlimited in the field of what seems to be limitation. So the choice for the eternal is the choice for the unlimited, even though it looks like we're in a situation where there's limitation. The choice for sanity in the field of what seems to be pervaded by insanity. The choice to remember only thoughts that are born in love. Then your eyes look down again, and something has changed. You'll find that you are at peace. That you recognize you are above the world. You are above the world. That means you are above the crowd. That means you have a gentle sweetness that begins to pervade your entire being. You just feel the lushness. Can't you just feel it in the room? What does that mean? It means all pain and suffering is forgotten. It means you're not talking about what happened to you in the 3rd grade no more time the rest of your life. Okay, nobody cares anyway. I was at a surprise party for a friend last night, and it was a person that was talking to a friend of mine, and they were talking, and everything they were saying, and I acknowledge my friend for just being so patient and listening, but everything that person was talking to him about was absolutely of no relevance and no interest to me or him. And they just went on and on and on and on and on and on, talking about something that was going on at the job concerning somebody we didn't even know about situations that have nothing to do with us whatsoever. And you all have had that experience where people just go on and on and on talking about stuff that really is completely irrelevant to you whatsoever. But you realize that's you, and you just give yourself a break, and you just let you go ahead and go on for a while, you know, because that person was attempting to join. That's why they were communicating. They were trying to join. So I try to keep in mind what the purpose is, even though it was a crown of thorns against my brow. Because do you know that there are a lot of things you know that you don't say to people around you because you know that they will feel afraid, but you're more aware of what they're talking about? You know what I'm saying? But do you know how many people are doing that to you because you are so unaware relative to them? See, we don't think about that. Yeah. We think we're the one that's so aware trying to deal with all these people who are not as aware as us. Do you realize that there are other levels that you go places and when they leave, they go, now we can really talk about what's real. Raj is gone. Okay. So don't think you're at the top of the totem pole. The next time you look over the cliff to look down, you know, and seeing who's looking up at you, do this. Because it's something above you in awareness and intelligence that you could turn to that could save you some time. Because we are not at the top of the totem pole. Thank God. Thank God. And that's why we get in this book. This book came from what? A level of consciousness above that which we are in to save us. Because you can't solve a problem on the same level of consciousness you created it on. So that's why nothing changes in the world. So it says, all pain and suffering is forgotten. The nails can hold you no longer. The world cannot keep you down in its insanity. The eyes of your body close, and as your eyes close, the world that your eyes have shown you recedes, and then the real world starts to appear. Wow. And then what happens next is you rest. And you rest in the perfect remembrance that you are one with God. You are still connected to Source. And your attention starts to drift. But this time, your attention is drifting away from insanity. Mm-hmm. Where in the past, you'd be hearing the truth like in a class like this, and your mind be drifting to insanity. Thinking about your job, thinking what's going to happen tomorrow, what you're going to be doing. You're sleepy, you're tired, you can't stay conscious. So you're drifting into total insanity at first. But now your mind is going to start drifting into sanity. Yeah, like that. I love that. Yet you are quite aware that you can still see your friends. You still see the soldiers, your persecutors. You still see the tears. You see some who are merely just standing quietly. And you bless them and release them to have the perceptions that they choose. So what does a conscious person do? I bless each and every one of you to have the perceptions of things that you want to have. That's right. That's what a conscious you. In other words, I bless you to think whatever you want to think. I bless you to believe whatever you want to believe. I bless you to keep going through whatever patterns you think you need to be going through. Because a conscious being knows you're not a victim, knows you're not weak, knows that you can change your mind anytime you want to and you can go in another direction. And they're there to support you in doing that. But they also know you have a right to your insanity and your right to stay in it as long as you choose. So what would happen if you took that attitude? You become totally unaffected by all the stuff that's going on in the world and you start to have really cool days. That's what would happen. So he says, for you have come to love yourself so much that you will accept only what's real. And it's like, I'm not going to accept a relationship where someone is attacking me and blaming me and projecting on me all the time. You get to the point, it's just some things you're just not going to put up with anymore. You're not going to do anymore. And you're not going to let anybody put on you anymore. It's not a question about it. You're not arguing with yourself about it. You're not debating about it because you're only going to accept what's real. And you know that the only thing that's real is love. And it's finished. The resurrection now begins.
Yeah.
Now, any questions, any comments about that? Oh, any sharing? Yes.
A question. Excuse me. If I'm someplace and I run into somebody or I'm like at a party and I feel like a red flag or an aversion, I sometimes say to myself, well, is this somebody I really should try to work something out with?
No.
Or should I back away from it? If you're on here, you're already on here, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, sometimes I say to myself, well, if I'm loving, I should really try to explore what this aversion is, and then I feel guilty, like if I go I just don't feel comfortable here. I mean, everybody here is wonderful, but I just really don't feel comfortable, and I want to walk away.
Oh, this be so nice. Everybody be so glad. No, I mean,
I understand
I'm not being insulted.
I brought this to myself, so I want to
so beautiful.
understand. I've created this,
Yes,
so what do I do in this situation? I mean, do I just move forward and, end up deciding I'm going to bang my head against the wall because of this?
Yeah, that would sound like the Holy Spirit would
or do I say I need to take a break away from this and I'm trying to understand what I do to selfish.
I say you know the answer to the question that you're asking me. I say you know exactly what the answer is to what you're asking.
Yeah, I probably do, but I'm having a hard time focusing on it.
You know the difference between should I keep my peace and not say anything if I'm feeling guilty, and should I try to engage somebody in something that I feel uncomfortable about even doing. You know that you want to always go with the thing that gives you the most peace, and the thing that gives you the most peace would be the thing that's not making you feel guilty or the thing that's not making you feel a lot of conflict. Because always remember, and I'm glad he's saying this, always remember that, you are not that person's savior. If they need to change, then the universe is going to give them everything that they need to change, regardless of whether you say anything to them or not. So it really is about what do I need to learn out of this situation? What do I need to take a look at in my own mind and then ask the Holy Spirit to give me another way to look at it and to give me another way of looking at myself, and also ask Spirit if there's anything that I should say. And if it is, then you would feel peace about saying it and you would not go ahead and say it. In most cases, we help people when we don't try to.
Right.
Consciously selected miracles can always be misguided. Whenever you sit back and you decide what's best for a person or who needs your help, 90% of the time you are totally in your ego when you do that, because who are you to decide what I need, and who are you to say that I need your help if I didn't ask for it? It's like, that's arrogant right there. Just as, for me, I don't teach you from the perspective that you don't know the truth. I teach you from the perspective that you do know the truth, and together we want to remove the blocks to the awareness that we all have. I'm not coming from a perspective that I'm coming down from upstairs on high to impart wisdom on those who don't have it. That's an ego perspective. So most people are helped the most when you don't say anything. It's you throw them into confusion, and they'll be more confused after you tried to help them than they were before you said anything. If you're saying something so radically different from what they believe, that they think that what you're saying is irritating to them. So I'm saying to you, I'm siding with you. I'm saying that even as you said that, I know that you knew the answer as you were saying it, which is you were saying, the other thing I think was great, that was so good, when you said that about leaving. Like the people, they were cool people, but for whatever reason you wasn't feeling it. So you felt like, maybe you needed to go. That is the best thing in the world you can do for people when you know you're not bringing the light and the loving energy into a social situation. I can't tell you how many situations I've been in that I wish people would leave. You too. You know what I'm talking. Y'all know I'm telling the truth. You see them in the corner, and you can feel the judgment, you can feel the fear, you can feel their separation. They're not extending, but they'll stay there. Where actually the most loving thing for them, if they're not enjoying themselves, would be for them to remove themselves, because what you end up with is all the people who enjoy being together, and that's when the party begins. You know what I'm saying? I was looking at this Saturday Night Live the other night that Eddie Murphy was on, and he got makeup on to be a white person. And he wanted to see what it was like to be a white person, And so he went to the bank to borrow some money, the black person was just leaving out. They need about 9,000 references and all kind of things he had to have. And then he sat down as a white person, and they said, "How much money you want?" And they just started throwing the money out. Then he went and got on the bus, and there was one black person on the bus, and the rest of them was white. And as soon as the black person left, they broke out champagne, they jerked their clothes out. It was cocktail. So he was like saying, it was a whole different world out there, you know what I'm saying? And so it was funny. And so that's what I'm saying in a funny, weird kind of way. It's like the party begins when the separation ends.
Yeah.
You know, the party begins when everybody's on the same accord and everybody's enjoying being with each other and each other's space. So whenever I'm in a situation and I don't feel like I'm bringing love and happiness and more peace to that situation, I leave. If I can't change my mind, I leave. You know what I'm saying? So that's a love. So sometimes that's a loving thing to do if you're not really feeling it. It doesn't mean you're bad, doesn't mean they're bad, but you're not bringing love into the experience and you're not feeling any. So just, you know, go do what you would feel good doing. Yeah, but don't forget, you cannot block a person's good because you don't decide to help them.
Yeah, right on.
That's just remember that. You know, they are not your responsibility. They're in any way, shape, form, or fashion. They're God's responsibility, not yours.
I think my issue is like if I'm with, if I run into this person, I'm not comfortable. So then I go, well, you know, you should hang out here, and because this is a learning process for you.
But you're just missing everything I just said. You know, you're not wanting to do it. You're not really feeling peace.
So I'm feeling, no, I heard what you said, so I'm feeling, it's insane. I start to feel guilty about turning my back on something.
Okay, the fact that you feel guilty means you are making an error in perception.
Right, yeah.
If you feel guilty, you need to go. I mean, I'm really being straight up. If you feel guilty, you are not helping the situation. If you're doing anything out of guilt, you're not helping the person. It's the guilt that's creating the problem to begin with.
It's not me trying to help them. It's me trying to help myself.
Which means you wouldn't be going through that dilemma then, because your dilemma is about you thinking there's something you think you should be saying to them. So if you really meant that about it really being you helping yourself, you wouldn't have the dilemma that you're having right now. Because the dilemma that you're sharing with us is the dilemma of, should I try to say something to this person? Should I try to do something? Right, and so you just got through saying, no, I should be working on myself, which means that ends that whole dilemma for you, right? Right, because conflict comes from not making a decision. So if I make a decision, I'll be out of conflict. So I'm gonna make a decision, and the decision is I need to work on myself, and that if I'm feeling guilty, I don't wanna go in the direction of something that I'm using to make myself feel guilty. And another thing that's cool to do, if someone says maybe to you, say that means no. So that you won't be caught up in that drama. Somebody says maybe, well, maybe I'll get in touch with you, well, maybe this week I go no. Then I go right ahead and plan my week. I don't hear you. You tell me maybe, yeah, I might get in touch with you. Let's play it by ear. I like that one. Let's just play it by ear. So just in case I do decide at the last minute that I might like to do this with you, I want you to be available for me to do that. It's like, no, let's play it by ear, and if something else comes up that I want to do, I'm going to do it. Right? Don't allow yourself to be pulled in two directions like that. Just go ahead. Maybe means no. Maybe means no. Maybe means no. Maybe means no. I'm going to look at it like you just said no. And then if nothing happened and I'm free, and your maybe turns into a yes, fine. But you might say, I'm saying yes now after my maybe, and I said, oops, too late, got something else happening. Which means we weren't supposed to connect in the first place, and it's still in divine order. Because whatever happens is in divine order. So even if you didn't get together, that was the best thing that could have happened to you. And if you do get together, that's the best thing that could have happened to you. See, that's how you get rid of frustration around social issues. If it didn't happen, it was in your own best interest for it not to happen. If it did happen, that was in your own best interest too. So thank you. That's a good one. I mean, we all go through that thing about should I step in? Ask. Anybody else? Yes, darling.
Today was my birthday, not literally, but from the 7 weeks.
Right, the 7 week rebirth.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's awesome. It started off awesome. I'm just curious too. I feel sometimes like a child when, you know, a child's cranky and they're susceptible to being little brats, basically. I wonder, because I feel like I'm reborn, but then I was working hard during the day and I started getting that, you know, like, I don't feel good, and then kind of attracting energy that I don't prefer. So of course it's using the techniques and everything to pull me back in order, but just sometimes the feeling in my body becomes overwhelming where I don't even associate with thoughts. It's probably linked to a thought that I'm not aware of. But I was just wondering, do you have any advice for my newborn self? On how to
Yeah, this is what he got through saying here. Accept only what is real. Accept only what is true. Don't live in a duality anymore. Don't ever say you're a victim anymore. Don't ever say that you're guilty anymore and make that your premise. Accept now that you are a new being, that everything that we're studying applies to you. It's what's true about you. Even, like it says, even if the conditions look like that's not true, you're still gonna say, I'm responsible for what I see. I choose the feelings I experience. You know what I'm saying? It's like don't be in the dual system anymore. You know, you are the Christ. You are the living love on this planet to demonstrate love. That's why you're here, and you know that now. And you're saying, Father, I surrender to your will. I want to ask you what to do, where to go. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're no longer doing like most people, reading the stuff and then going out here and acting just like they did before they read it, like the way I used to do all the time. You know what I mean? Totally separated. Say, I'm the creator of my experience, and then I go out and say, oh my God, because I'm black, things aren't going to work out for me. oh, I'm the creator of my experience. Well, you know, women get unequal pay. You see what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? It's like 1 minute I'm saying I'm the creator, and then the next minute I'm going to say the exact same thing everybody else in the world is saying. You can stop living a dualistic reality, and then you will experience the power of your rebirth. You're juicy too.
Yes.
So that's right. So keep your new juice. Don't lose your juice. Don't lose your juice. Yes, yes. This is CJ's birthday today.
Yay.
That's right. That's right. Celebrating
older than the course.
That's right. I am older than a course.
about 1 day.
One whole day.
The whole day.
Yeah, I appreciate how the Way of Mastery gives us such really practical tools when we're willing to take it literally. So a couple paragraphs back it says, the world cannot keep you down in its insanity. The eyes of the body close, and as they close, the world they had shown you recedes and the real world appears. And you rest in the perfect remembrance that you are one with God, and your attention drifts away from insanity. And right there, because the simplest of ways to come to sanity is to simply close the damn eyes. Literally. I mean, that's what it's saying there. You close your eyes. So in those moments when the insanity is overtaking you, except when you're driving,
Yes.
you know,
Pull over first.
pull over first, right? Close the eyes and let sanity bathe us.
Absolutely.
You know, and really don't see.
It's like you just said. In spite of what you see, tell yourself the truth. In spite of what you see.
I found that the more I detach from my physical senses when trying to come to sanity, the quicker I come to sanity.
Right. Right. That's why everything is talking about meditate, contemplate, spend time alone and quiet. Most people stay busy all the time because they don't want to hear their own thoughts. And that's why they have to schedule a bathroom break 2 weeks in advance. We all got friends like that. They're so busy all the time that if you want to spend 2 seconds with them, you better plan it a month in advance. Hopefully you can squeeze, because they don't want to hear what they think, is what the Course says.
Wow.
That's why we all stay so busy. Because once you are still, you start to hear what you're really saying to yourself. So you got to keep something going all the time. Like you said, taking that moment to close your eyes and breathe. Especially when you find yourself beginning to feel upset and you're beginning to feel irritated. If you could just catch yourself and not say a doggone thing and just breathe, you'll be amazed that just that split second would be enough for Spirit to come in and give you another way to look at it. Just breathe. Just breathe. Just breathe. I'll take one more. We'll hear a little bit more of it before we wind down. Anybody else?
Yeah, I got some.
Okay.
A little different spin than you. I'm probably say this, but you know, last Sunday I left the course driving down Colfax on my phone. This guy on his motorcycle comes by and he yells at me about driving my car on the phone. You know, and he goes real fast. I'm like, what the fuck? And all I could think about was, it was like my ego is like a sleeping dog by the fireplace, and all of a sudden it hears something and it's like up, you know, attention, looking around going, what did he say? He was talking to you? And I'm like, I don't know this guy. I probably never know this guy. And I might just go out and have fun with him. So I get him at the red light, getting out of my car, what the fuck? What do you think you're doing? You know, and just rattled his cage.
Is that what you did?
Yeah. You know, he's a big fat guy, and he gets off, and I go, hey, yeah, you fatty. And his wife is there, she goes, oh, I said, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to him. Shut your mouth. And I was just, man, it was just like the coolest day of my life. It was just like, man, I was just out there, my ego was jumping and barking, and it was fabulous. And I got back in my car, and I went, whoa. Wow, unlike you, I felt really good. I was like, ooh, okay.
Yeah, you know, sometimes poison tastes real sweet.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
It's real pleasurable.
Real pleasurable. Again,
Yeah.
you know, bottom line is, if you feel peace about it, I ain't got nothing to say about it.
Yeah.
If that makes you feel peaceful, I'm not gonna judge it. It's just, I give what I want to receive. I give what I want to receive. My rule for myself is, because I want to stop attack, if I don't want to be attacked, I got to stop attack.
Right.
That's bottom line. If I don't want that to keep coming back to me, then and if I'm the creator and I'm always experiencing the results of my energy, then I've got to be the one to stop it at some point. So that's one of the most challenging stages of spiritual development that most people crumble at, is the idea of not returning attack with attack. And everybody's got to cross that bridge to total peace. Because, you know, if I don't want to see a red shirt in the mirror, I got to stop wearing red shirts. So if I don't want to see attack in my life, it has to stop with me. And the ego feels the most happy after it's attacked. Because the ego is the idea of, if I direct anger outside of myself, then it's going to make me safer. So that's why people feel better. When they usually go up, they go, well, I sure got them straight, because the ego is that part of us that knows that attack is what keeps us separate from God and keeps us separate from love. So the part of me that wants me to suffer knows that it just increased the possibility of my suffering by putting that energy out. Look at it like throwing a rock in the pond and the ripples go out and they hit the shore and then they come back. And then because that in my perception, that person saying something in the first place came from a previous ripple that you sent out. And it was coming back, but it came back in the form of it looking like that guy said something to you, right? But that was really my own ripple coming back. So I had a choice at that point of breathing and saying, this is a gigantic call for love, and letting it go, or turn around and throwing another rock in the pond again. And you're innocent either way it goes, but it just depends on what it is you want to receive. And one of the reasons why I got into this stuff in the first place was having a very vicious, uncontrollable temper. And that's why one of the reasons why I got on the spiritual path to begin with. So then I watched the attack that I was always dealing with, that I was mad at everybody else about, stop when I stopped. But I had to stop even when some of the ripples I had already put out was still coming back at me for a while. I had to not throw another rock in the pond even though the ripples was coming back. And then God was my boat. Right? So getting into God lifted me out of the pond that the ripples were coming back in, and then that's called grace. So you don't have to reap the results of the things you've done in the past if you are loving now. So that's the end of karma. That's the end. So you don't have to be worried, oh my God, I'm getting the truth now, but I used to be a hell raiser, so I know some stuff going to come back on me. Not only if you're still perpetuating the exact same attitude and vibration, but if you raise above that, that ripple goes, because you're not there anymore. In relationships, that's the easiest way to get rid of the ripples or to recreate them. That's why relationships are so powerful.
I know someone asked me why I was a Christian, and I said, because I'm scared of karma. I'm scared of karma. I can't handle the karma I put out there. So
I hear you. I totally and completely hear you. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If you really hear this, you will change your behavior. That's why you don't have to worry about working on your behavior. You work on your thinking, your behavior is going to automatically change. If your behavior hasn't changed, your thinking hasn't changed. So you don't have to wonder about whether or not your thinking has changed. If you're still behaving now the way you behaved last year, last month, 10 years ago, you haven't changed your mind. You know, it's so easy to tell where we are that it's almost insulting. What do you believe? What are you seeing? You know, how do you feel? That's how you're thinking. You know, nothing is a mystery that we think is a mystery. It's all so obvious, it's almost sickening.
Right.
You know, your life is your thoughts. Your life is your consciousness. Your relationships are your consciousness. Everything is your consciousness. We are your consciousness. How you see us is your consciousness. And don't take that to just mean the stuff that bothers you is your consciousness. It means all the love and the joy and the kindness and the sanity. That's your consciousness too. So then it becomes, am I going to side with the parts of me that's joyful? Or am I going to keep siding with the parts of me that's always angry and upset and projecting and blaming? And you'll know which ones you've chosen by who are your friends. Who are the people you spend time with when you leave here? That's your consciousness. That's the consciousness that most pervades with you where you are today. Is whoever you want to be around the most. That's your consciousness. And then you're innocent. And particularly pay attention to who you get turned on by. That's one of your best ways of knowing your level of consciousness. Who you get all passionate when you're around. That's real clue. That's a real clue. So I'm not trying to depress everybody. I'm just really just trying to. I was on a roll today, and I could tell the energy just went, woo!
See you next month.
That's right. That's right. So, oh my God. So anyway, I'm gonna stop right here because we're gonna do a little wrap up. So let's acknowledge us for even being rich. It's much Holy Spirit. Whoa. And sometimes if you ask a question and it seems like I'm most intense with you, it's because that's the person I feel the safest with to really say what's going on and have a real conversation with. So I want you to know that.
Right.
You understand? Yeah, because sometimes people don't understand. If I feel really safe with you, then I'm going to really just let it out. You know, because I really believe that you're ready to be. I've seen such positive shifts and such positive
I
change.
feel really safe.
Yeah. I've seen it. I'm seeing it in you. I'm seeing it in you. I've seen more smiles than you would just be amazed at the difference in the face I'm looking at right now. I used to frown so much. People used to have a contest to see if they can make me smile when I was a kid. My mama told me, your eyebrows gonna grow together. You're gonna be a unibrow. I had never smiled when I was a kid. I was like, don't y'all see where the hell you at? What's the smile about? I couldn't figure it out. It's like, my God, what is the smile about? And now I see lots to smile about because the world is receding. The world is receding. The world is receding. The world is receding. The world is. Thank you for sharing with me, God. I really appreciate that. This is my way of serving in the world, just like you do yours every day. So I appreciate you. And those who like to make a financial expression of appreciation online, just go to my website, earlpurdy.com, and you'll be able to do it there. And I'm open to work with you in one-on-one sessions called clarity sessions. And for those who are open to it, even though it drives some people crazy for me to say this, I also use my knowledge of astrology and numerology. And because Spirit uses whatever you've learned to communicate through you, so every talent you have can be used. It can be used by Spirit. Also, those papers I passed around, this is the 50th anniversary of when Helen Schucman started to first channel the Course in Miracles. And there's a big movie about it. And thank you. And I'm blessed to be, and fortunate to be in that movie. And so there are 2 movies out right now, as a matter of fact. I'm glad to Spirit you, but it's the 50th anniversary celebration, and they're showing it in hundreds of places. But in here in Denver, on this sheet are the list of where they're showing it over the next 3 or 4 days, in case you want to check it out. So I made a few of these. So if you look at some locations and copy it down, and then check it out, and I'm sure at some point it'll be available online. But I think it'll be fun. I'm going to go to I haven't seen it, so I'm going to go tomorrow night to the one over in Nevada at 7:30 and see it for the first time. So that would be cool. If any of y'all want to come over and join me, that would be great. So the address is there. Thank you, Holy Spirit. You are such a blessing. You're such a blessing. You're such a blessing. You're such a blessing. Any last thoughts before I wrap everything up? Sunday, Course in Miracles, 1 o'clock. Also, my good friend Anna Kajawa does a Course in Miracles class on Monday night. What's the address, Anna?
1939 South Monroe Street.
1939 South Monroe Street. And online, Anna and I have a bunch of videos that we went through everything the Course taught about special relationships and holy relationships. And we made a series of videos we call Hardcore Course. So if you go to my website or on Google and Google it, both our names will come up.
YouTube.
And on YouTube. But we did that. We said, okay, we're going to go through everything the Course in Miracles says about holy relationships and special relationships and work on it and share it. And so that's online. There's a lot of stuff available for you if you really want to do it a different way. It's there. So one thing I heard tonight that I really want to remember is,
I keep remembering about the opportunity. It's always an opportunity to choose peace or fear. It's an opportunity.
you've been confronted
Yeah.
with an opportunity.
Right.
Thank you. Yes.
I would like to remember living on the y-axis so I can go straight to God.
That's right. You want the vertical instead of the
Yes.
horizontal.
Makes sense.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
And the I am responsible for what I'm experiencing is the straight up vertical.
That is the vertical.
That is, I am responsible
I am
for what I'm
responsible.
experiencing straight up.
Even if it doesn't look like it.
Even if it doesn't look like it.
Even if it doesn't look like it. You'll be amazed at the miracles you'll start to see in your life if you say stuff like, not blame. I'm going to keep saying that. Do not blame yourself. Blame is not taking responsibility. Blame is not taking responsibility. And you can tell if you're blaming yourself because you're angry. Okay? You go, oh, I created that for myself. But that's okay. Just even if you do that, it's still you telling yourself you created it. So at some level that is helpful. But it's no need to blame yourself. No need to beat yourself up, It's just, if that worked, we'd all be like, enlightened beings floating around the room right now. We didn't be using no chairs. You know what I'm saying? We know beating ourselves up, right? We know it doesn't work. If you be honest, you also know that nobody else can make you happy. If you just really be honest with yourself, you know you tried it over and over and over again. You thought this was the one, and then you told yourself, if they just acted a little different over here, this will just be the best thing I ever had in my life. We all have tried it. Doesn't work. And as soon as you let that go, then all the people start showing up that do the things that you love for them to do. It's really kind of weird. The minute it doesn't matter, they're there. As soon as it doesn't matter, they're there. Oh, I don't care if I ever have a relationship. Then I get 30 friend requests on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it doesn't matter because I'm going to be okay anyway. So learn how to entertain yourself. You have a lot of relationships start to show up. Learn how to entertain yourself. Learn how to have a good time all by yourself. And that's and feel innocent about whatever you do by yourself to entertain yourself. Don't use that to create more guilt. Just want to give you all a little tip. Now, okay. All right, so here we go. Close your eyes or open your eyes, either one. But I'm going to do one little last thing before we go. Easter is your birthday. Easter is a time to celebrate. We're going to celebrate that the crown of thorns have been removed. The crown of thorns have been removed. The crown of thorns have been removed because you have chosen to think only loving thoughts. Choose to think only loving thoughts. Choose to think only true thoughts. And if you're wondering what true thoughts are, they are the thoughts that we heard tonight. You are remembering the power that has been given to you. That's your resurrection. You've been given the power. You've been given the power. You've been given the power to transcend the awful, transcend the dreaded, transcend the suffering-filled experience born of fear. Because in love, there is only peace. In love, there is only peace. In love, there is only peace. In love, there is only peace in love. In love, there is only peace. There is only peace in love. In love, there's only the infinitude of pure spirit. In love, you are returned. So Easter is for you and not for me. So set aside all your images and your practices of Jesus or Jeshua and realize, make a pilgrimage to the heart of yourself. You're going to make a pilgrimage to the heart of yourself. How do you make a pilgrimage to the heart of yourself? By looking upon all that you see this day. By looking on everyone that you see and hear, and see their beauty and see its harmlessness, by looking through the eyes of your real self. So do you know there's nothing left for you to do but to celebrate with every one of us? Do you know that there is nothing left for you to do but to celebrate with all of us? What can there be left to do but to laugh? What can there be left to do but to sing? What can there be left to do but to play? What can there be left to do but to laugh? What can there be left to do but to sing? What can there be left to do but to play? To remember in quiet devotion the love your Creator has always had for you. You are totally loved. You may not love yourself as you should, but you are totally loved. So you can choose only love. You are resurrected in love. So mighty companions, think about us during the day and during the week when sometimes you're tempted to go into that dream of forgetfulness. Think about us. That's your proof that you're not alone. Brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters, brothers and sisters. May the course be with you. I love you. Thank you for coming, Holy Spirit. Wow. Be gentle with yourself out there.